call to order the Urban Renewal Authority meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Here.
Grantham?
Here.
Hamrick?
Here.
Maloney?
Here.
Reeser? Here. Smisher?
Here.
Stein?
Here.
Tracy?
Here.
Troutman?
Here.
Worthington?
Here.
Chairman Payne?
Here. Ask you to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens requesting to speak to the Urban Renewal Authority. Nobody's raising their hand. We'll move on. Move on to the consent agenda. Ask the executive director on this consent agenda and also for the cash disbursements.
Yes, sir. You have the approval of minutes for the January 8th meeting and receive and file cash disbursements for the period of January 9th through February 5th.
Okay, any questions or comments? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve the items on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Grantham?
Aye.
Hamrick?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Reeser?
Aye.
Smisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Troutman?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a financial report. Invite the treasurer to
All right, the January beginning balance was $1,191,740.66. We had the quarterly city admin fees, $6,352.96. A loan repayment to the city, $5,421.62. And a life safety and reimbursement to Three Rocks Engineering for $11,792.78. January ending, $1,168,173.30. That's it. It's short and sweet this month, folks.
Thank you. Any questions for the treasurer? Indoor comments? Okay. Move on to executive director report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We are continuing to have discussions with 4 Mile Ranch. They're looking at urban renewal for their future development. They are going through the process with the city right now to update the planned development district that's out there. We anticipate that they will have some requests for the urban renewal as well. We do know that we have some interest in our upcoming grant cycles with a building systems grant, and I'll let Rick talk a little bit more about some of those requests that are coming in. And then we're also waiting to see what happens with the Abbey development. With it coming under new ownership, there may be some requests for urban renewal assistance there as well. Rick, do you want to talk about upcoming grants?
Yeah, sure. We have interest. We don't have applications yet, but we have interest for facade grants. We have interest right now from about 7 different businesses, some downtown, one over by Harbor Freight, that building there. And we have a couple of interests in building systems grant, one for a building downtown that has a roof problem. And I think I mentioned this the last time. It's leaking onto tenant property and goods for sale. And then also the Oxford Marketplace building, which is where, Harbor Freight is. They are in negotiations with a retail store to come into their facility on the backside, which is a soft goods retailer, so something we've been targeting for a while, which is good. And they may be interested in a building systems grant to update their HVAC systems. Kind of brings up an interesting topic about the building systems grant. We designed it for a building, thinking around more along the lines of buildings downtown where one system can provide for the whole building. In the case of that building out there, there's 4 to 6 different systems supplying each of those stores. So it brings to question whether we need to revise the building systems grant a little bit, the application, to better clarify eligibility. But I talked to the owner about it. They weren't disappointed about it. It's just the reality that we don't necessarily have the clarity in the application that we probably want to have, whether we want to open it up to multi-unit buildings or multi-units, like those retail stores, or if we want to keep it building-specific, 1 grant per building kind of a thing. So it's something we just started talking about as a staff within the last few days. But good news on the retailer. We've been targeting this one. I'm not going to say who it is right now because they want to keep it quiet for now. But it's one we've been targeting for a couple of years, and they're now in serious negotiations. Second round of letter of intent, and the owner said it sounds like it's moving forward. So that's a good thing.
Well, we've all known that we're going to need to be flexible on these grants and kind of be fluid. Nothing's written in stone. So I think we all realize that from the get-go that we're going to have to be kind of fluid on that.
Yeah, and that's a building too. They've talked to us, they've come to talk about tax increment, a little complicated there because there's already commercial activity there, so there wouldn't be a lot of property tax increment. Sales tax increment, it's a little more difficult to predict. But it's a great location to upgrade, and then they've been wanting to upgrade, and now they may have an opportunity to do it. So it's good, and they may have that entire building filled for the first time in 4 years, probably.
Probably longer.
Yeah, probably longer. So,
Any questions for Rick or comments? Amy?
Thanks, Chair. Could you remind us, and it's just because I think we may need to look at another part of the application or the policy behind the application as well. Were the life safety grants or the building systems grants also specific to either the historic downtown or the central business district?
the life safety grant is more targeted toward the central business district. The building systems grant prefers central business district, but will also consider within the urban renewal area commercial structures or structures older than 50 years. So it is qualified out in that area.
Okay, it is qualified, but if we get multiple applications during the open window, it wouldn't necessarily be the preferred one.
Correct.
Based on a wide variety of factors.
Based on how we've worded it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just a little bit more clarification, the life safety grant is central business district or a designated historic building.
Designated historic, correct.
And then the building systems grant, it's 50-year, buildings that are 50 years or older or have a history of being underutilized.
Which this one would certainly fall into the latter category.
Correct.
Yep.
Got it, thanks.
Okay, anybody else? John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Does it make any sense to consider, rather than a building systems grant, a systems grant, so per system rather than per building?
It would be your call as a board. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. You know, we're still new at this, so we're still trying to figure it all out, but we honestly did not anticipate buildings like that for some reason. It was really targeted more for downtown. But yeah, I think so. Yeah. Or, you know, there's a possibility too, if the board were to budget a certain dollar amount for special projects, that could be another thing too, that could fall under a special project if it's something that doesn't quite fit the mold of a different grant.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Anything else?
Not for the executive director's report, sir.
Okay. Move on to discussion of the Main Street fire line installation bid.
Yes, sir. We've got obviously, we have a lot of work going on Main Street right now with construction taking place to replace from 3rd Street down to 1st Street and then 1st Street from Main to RGB. This is an ideal time for business owners and building owners in that area to replace or install any infrastructure that would be under the street. And we have 6 businesses or building owners that currently would like to take advantage of that fact and install fire lines that would eventually tap into fire suppression systems for those buildings. And Rick, is this your presentation or Leo's presentation?
It's mine, but a lot of this you already have now in the agreement. So this was prepared before you had the agreement.
So we did include an agreement that went out to the Urban Renewal Authority today. This is very similar to the agreements that we signed for on the city side. This is for urban renewal. This would be an urban renewal project to help us coordinate with one contractor to do all the work. We are on a very tight timeline because we want to get the work done before Blossom Festival. And it was decided that having one contractor that's going in and doing the work to install these fire lines made the most sense from a coordination standpoint and for a timing standpoint. And Rick, I'll let you go through any slides of information I might be missing.
I think you pretty much hit it on the head. We talked about this for a while. Unfortunately, it's tough to get these types of things going until the 11th hour, so this became an 11th hour project. We did have a couple of conversations with Greg Dorito about this a while ago, but it really didn't come to a head until the last couple of weeks, really, that we discussed this in detail with property owners, because we knew if they were not, and they all knew that this was coming. They were all talked to by Public Works and Ryan LeClaire in Economic Development. But sometimes they don't act until you bring it to their attention and say, this is happening, do you want to be part of this? And that's really what we had to do. We're looking at this as something that will take care of, protect the property owners really from future expenses, because once this road is done, cutting into it's going to be exorbitantly expensive to do. And we know that there are certain buildings downtown that are probably going to be ideal for sprinkler systems, so we somewhat targeted them, at least wanted to make sure that we talked to them, but we gave the option to all the building owners in the 300 block all the way down to the 100 block. The thing about this is we would like it to be a URA special project and not necessarily tie into the life safety grant right now. That would then free up a full life safety grant for the buildings in the future as they put in their suppression systems, and it would remove a lot of uncertainty and confusion about whether they got grants, didn't get grants, what the case may be. So as a special project, this will be all managed in one contract by the URA. Each of the property owners has been asked to contribute $5,000 to it as their 25%-ish match, as would be the case in the grant. They've all agreed to it. Then we would enter into a reimbursement agreement with the property owners on an individual basis as we move forward with this. And they all confirmed that they're interested. There would be in the future, potentially, with the water discussion today, a monthly fee for that fire line. Through our conversations with the fire district, we are required to put in 6-inch lines, which is unfortunate because most of them on Main Street, if not all, are 4-inch lines. Property owners will have to step down to a 4-inch or 3-inch or whatever they need for their building. So they will be eventually, when they're connected to a suppression system, be charged the monthly fee for a 6-inch line. So unfortunate, but they're all aware of that fact. So none of them will have to incur that cost yet. But properties we're looking at, 300 block, as you can see, if you look down, McCaslin Glass is not identified here. It's the lower left corner building on the south side of the street. They were the last to join us last week. And then down to the 100 block on the corner is Colby Katchmar's building, which is now where?
Driftwood and Clay.
Thank you. Driftwood and Clay is.
The old floral building?
Yeah,
Yep.
and they're eager to get one as well for future renovation of their building. But as we look at it, these are the bids. You can't see it with the caption down there, but these are the bids as they were for 5 businesses at the time. We knew of 5. The lowest bid being Lippis down there in the lower right. I added the 6th one here, and that total 127,310 matches the agreement you have. The reimbursements from the property owners would be $30,000, which gives them about a 23.6% match for their property. That's how we structured it, and that's what we're presenting for approval.
And I think, actually, the contract has 127,610.26 in it, so
Which was-
$300 difference.
Which was a mistake, yeah. He sent, Leo sent a new one,
Oh.
a revised one today.
Okay, thank you. We would ask that when considering this for approval, that add a 15% contingency on top of that, just in case there are some unforeseen items that may come up. And we do have Leo Evans, the city's Public Works Director, here as well. Leo, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't think I have anything additional to add at this time. Like I said, we would still have to figure out how this fits into the schedule on Main Street. Lippis is not involved in that project in any way. We're keeping this entirely separate from that work contractually, because all of that work is federalized, has federal grant dollars on it, and introducing additional work to it can be complicated. So this would be separate and have to be coordinated. We have had those discussions with our contractor on Main Street. They all understand it. Just a matter of timing, and when we can fit it in is kind of to be determined based on if it's approved and then how long it's going to take us to get the parts here and get that work done.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
It does appear that Commissioner Tracy has her hand up. I don't know
Okay,
if you
we'll
can
go
see
with
that or not.
Commissioner Tracy first.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Hi, thanks. I wondered, with this special project approach to doing fire lines, are there other areas, other sections on Main Street or wherever where this approach might be needed or desired in the future, or is this pretty unique down to the west end there?
I could see this happening in the 800 block, 700 block, I believe it is.
Yeah, when we plan for that on the city side, there may be some opportunities for that on the 700 and 800 blocks. But I think it just depends on what projects may be coming up from a capital improvement side.
Okay,
I assume that we'd want to just keep in mind that if we like the way this approach works, that maybe we would use it again or something similar through the URA.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that.
And we do know that there are some structures downtown that have considerably higher cost fire suppression systems because of the size and the existence of apartments on the second floor. One being the John Paul's building on the 500 block, Tailored West building. That's a very expensive fire suppression system. He didn't apply for a grant for that. But that one's significant.
okay.
Could I
Thanks.
just have a couple questions? So are there, you mentioned that building that John Paul owns. Are there other buildings that have fire suppression systems already in them? And I don't understand why a building owner at this point wouldn't want to get this done. Is it?
It probably has to do, there's other conditions that will affect whether they'd want to, like change of use. If they don't ever anticipate doing anything with the building and don't change their use, and they don't necessarily want to. Some of them probably can't afford it right now. There are several downtown that have them. We put in 5, I believe. So there's several that have them. We've got you can see where the street's been torn up to put them in, honestly, but yeah.
What does a monthly fee for that 6-inch line cost?
I think it would be about $37 if it's
it's
passed.
37 and change.
Yeah. And I don't remember what the 4-inch, like 20-something, I think,
Yeah.
but.
And that's actually the following meeting to this meeting. The city council will be hearing all the details on those charges.
Okay. Okay.
We talked about this some last month to get this done while that road is tore up, and it's the perfect time to do it. On my email, I have 127,610.26, and you have 310.26. Which figure are we going to go with?
The 310 adds up
Okay, with the 15% contingency.
with a 15%
Yes, sir.
contingency.
Okay. Any other questions, Amy?
I've got a couple as well. I guess I'm also wondering where would the funding come from if we're not considering it a building systems grant or a life safety grant, and do we need to do a URA budget amendment?
So for this project, in order to get it funded right now, we're looking at taking it from the life safety grant line item. We can do a budget amendment to create a special fund at a later date. But right now, we would not be running a life safety grant program where we would wait until we know what funds we have available after this project to run the life safety grant program.
And that, if I'm recalling correctly, was it 150,000?
We have it at 200,000 this year. We
200,000,
transferred
okay.
some into 25.
So there's sufficient funding within there, and we don't currently have any interested applicants. We haven't had anybody turn it in or request.
Correct.
All the interest that we had was regarding this project.
Okay. Are we anticipating that there is a chance that it could cause any delays with the other Main Street project?
I think there's always a chance. There were some logistics that we had to work out that may have delayed it, but I think we've worked those out. Leo, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think there's definitely always a chance that this does delay the Main Street project, but it's probably a matter of, weeks instead of months or years or, however long it would take to get these fire lines in later if they are more cost prohibitive. So we've been mitigating as best we can, but again, we're introducing another contractor that's not a part of the job with their own material supply chains and trying to fit that into what is already a very condensed schedule for Main Street. So there is certainly a chance that it pushes the completion of that project later than what is originally scheduled.
But the way that we have planned it out, it shouldn't do so?
I couldn't tell you for sure. I would say there is probably a good chance that it will add time to the Main Street project, if I'm being entirely honest. Yes,
Okay.
This is a lot of work to add into a project of that scale and not expect it to have impacts when we already have a very tight schedule, so.
What do you think the likelihood is that it would still be done before Blossom then?
Tough question. I would say we were probably 50-50 before this, so it's certainly less than that now. It's probably 25% or less that we're done before Blossom Fest.
And we would then anticipate just starting the parade at 4th Street or
Yes,
something
yeah,
along those lines?
we already met with the Blossom Committee and developed a contingency plan in the event we weren't finished so that the parade had a established route either way. So I think it was, I can't remember if it was 4th or 5th off the top of my head, but we've gone through those with them and kind of drew a line in the sand. I think the first week of April, we would decide which of the routes was going to be likely to be used and start advertising to the bands. So.
Okay. It's really great to hear that you've already proactively met with the Blossom Committee and kind of have a plan B in place, especially if there's only a 25% chance that it'll be done in time. And I appreciate your candor on that front. My 2 other questions. I didn't see in the attachment that we received today a template for the agreement with the businesses regarding the $5,000 payment that each of them would be making, and wanted to know kind of where that is in the process, if we were envisioning doing a formal template, or sorry, a formal contract, and when they would need to pay those funds.
We are anticipating doing a form. I don't know that we have, we're working on it, trying to build the plane as we're flying it. Rick, I don't know if you have any ideas on timing?
No, nobody's really expressed any kind of a payment plan or anything like that. I think the sooner we do it, the better. But no, we don't have a template, and we haven't discussed terms. This is really very 11th, 12th hour creation.
Okay. Do we have a plan for what we would do if, heaven forbid, one of the businesses was unable or didn't pay?
I would say no.
Yeah, I don't know that we
Say no.
have, I don't know that we have those details worked out, but that would be, we would have to put something into the agreement that if they don't pay the $5,000, that they would be liable for the entire cost of the project.
Okay, and we envision getting that put together relatively soon?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then my very last question would be, understand that we would be And thank very much Councilwoman Tracy for her question regarding precedents, particularly when we are eventually able to do the 700 and 800 block of Main Street, and the idea that we would potentially want to do a similar program then. I am wondering if other businesses in between the two Main Street projects where Main Street has already been done come forward with a fire line request. Would we want to consider that outside of the life safety grant question so that it's essentially a special project and they are eligible for other life safety grants so that there is kind of a little bit more equality amongst all of the businesses on Main Street?
This is kind of what Emily brought up, I believe, and John's already kind of mentioned this. And maybe the next budget cycle, we put a line item in for special projects. Would that be the simplest way to do it instead of a budget amendment every time?
Yeah, I think we could look at the best way to do that through the next budget cycle, absolutely.
Just looking into the future, is that kind of what you're
Yeah,
indicating
absolutely.
to? Yeah. Okay.
Awesome, thank you. That's all I had.
All right, anybody else? All right, no other comments. I would entertain a motion to approve the 127-310-26 to Lippus Excavating with a 15% contingency.
I so move.
So moved?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a
Second.
You have a second?
Second.
Mr. Troutman? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Grantham?
Aye.
Hamrick?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Reeser?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Troutman?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye, thank you. Do you have anything else?
Just the executive session topic.
Okay, that's where we're at on the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion.
Okay,
I move that the Urban Renewal Authority enter into executive session for the following purpose. Executive session to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, develop a strategy for negotiations, and to instruct negotiators regarding Fremont Center for the Arts pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024E.
do I have a second?
Second.
Worthington? Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Grantham?
Aye.
Hamrick?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Reeser?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Troutman?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye. Okay, thank you.